Hi, Luxees. Welcome back to the Luxury Live Show. I have with me here my co-host, fashionably Amy, this side. I always get it wrong. It's good to see everybody here. And yeah, thank you for joining us in the new time. If you are new to our channel, this Luxury Live Show, we have this weekly live stream that is on both our channels. So this week is on my channel, and then alternatively, it will be on Amy's channel. So make sure you subscribe to both our channels, and we talk about all things luxury. So there was a slight change since last week. So if you were watching last week's live stream, we were saying that there is daylight savings.
Yeah,
And
it's ending. That's why.
For
the next 6
daylight
months.
savings, we've decided to shift the timing a little bit, and moving forward for the next, how many months is daylight savings? 6 months?
It's like until March. It's moving forward for the countries that don't do daylight savings, because I think half of the world is doing it and the other half is not doing it. So I don't know if it's really half, but I'm just saying North America is doing it. I think parts of Australia and New Zealand is doing it. And then parts of Europe is doing it, but then most of Asia doesn't do it. All the countries around the equator doesn't do it. So it's very confusing.
We have enough light around the equator.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is we're going to start. So if you're in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and all the times around here, we're going to start an hour later, and we're still going to try and keep it within the 2 hour mark. So we'll try and finish off by, which is our time, 1:30. We don't want to go too late. So anyway, we'll try, and then we'll adjust as we go, because this is going to 6 months new time. So administrative things out of the way. Thank you for joining us. I think you saw in the thumbnail. Today we're going to have sort of like a no slide, just a chit chat video. We'll talk a few things about our experiences. Now, why did we come up with this topic is because I think in the past, maybe two odd weeks, maybe even more on YouTube, we've been kind of brought to our attention with some incidences that have been happening on IG with the luxury community. So we thought it would be interesting where myself and Amy, we share our experiences about buying and selling on Instagram. Because I think we did talk about one live stream. So I'll link that video later down below, where we talk about the different layers about buying luxury. So from the retailers, and then of course, you can have all the other, online retailers, and then everything else. But today we're just going to dive in on our experiences, particularly on luxury buying on Instagram. And I'm going to let Amy start today, and then we'll share one experience each.
Sure. Sounds good. So I think, because Kat and we chatted about it, and we're like, we need to talk about this subject, but only from the point of view of our own experience, because it's hard for us to. And the thing is, a lot of you brought it to our attention, which thank you, but it's hard for a third party, like someone who's not involved, to talk about someone else's experience, whether they're on the selling or the buying experience. So we don't really know what happened. I mean, we can only see what they posted, what happened, but we just don't know what really happened behind the scenes, right? So we can talk about our own experiences and what we would expect as a buyer or as a seller on, let's say, a platform like Instagram, which is very much in trend right now, I guess, probably in line with the whole YouTube luxury community. But then now there's always been an IG luxury community, and a lot of them do buying and selling. A lot of them also just, post pictures for fun, just kind of as part of a luxury community. But I guess some of them also turned into buyers and sellers, right? So anyway, I guess for myself as a buyer, let's talk about as a buyer first. On IG, I have had maybe 2 or 3 experiences, and they're all from the same seller. So my experience is more geared towards a personal shopper. So I have bought 3 times from the same personal shopper on IG, and it was so I'm gonna name her, like nothing bad happened. I'm just gonna tell you what I expect in general. So Marina, fashion lover, her name is Andrea, and I found her through just following her on IG basically. And the way I decide what account to follow is a lot based on aesthetic. Like if I see they post a lot of, say, bag pictures on Chanel bags, and I just want to just be, just in the know, and then I just follow them. Like it doesn't really have any rhyme or reasons. So that's how I kind of found out about her. And then obviously I know that she's one of the sellers online, and the first item that I bought from her were those Chanel earrings, the ones from the runway last year. Couldn't get my hands on them here, and I think I even tried getting my hands on them from the States. But I think in North America, we just did not order the clip-on ones. Or even if we did, I think our store did, but they had one pair. So I couldn't get my hands on them. So I contacted her. I actually contacted her and maybe 2 other personal shoppers. Like I said, I don't know them personally. I just see their photos a lot and I follow their profile a lot. And I just, ask them a simple question. Oh, do you have these earrings? Are they available? How much do you charge? So all of them got back to me. And the reason why I chose her is just because she was very responsive. So she got back to me, fairly quickly. She was very patient with my questions because I've never shopped with a personal shopper before. It's not like they have a registered business or anything. It's kind of just me talking to someone else selling on IG. Kind of if Kat was selling something on IG and I didn't know her and I just DM'd her, that's how it was. Kind of like that's the relationship. So she was very professional, answered all my questions. I asked about what kind of payment she requires. So I think because she's based in the States, they take Cash App, and like there was another app as well. But because I'm not from the States, so she would invoice me. And so that was already like, she was doing everything by the book, like very safe, because she does invoice me. So I do have to pay extra fees for the invoice. But, it's kind of part of, you just get an understanding of how things work with that seller. And everything sounded okay. And then so I say, okay, go ahead. Can you please source them for me at the price that she quoted me? And then she got them. Actually, I paid her first. I paid her. She invoiced me. I paid her. She got them. Was that the order? I think she pretty much confirmed that she was able to get them. So I paid her, and then she got them. So that's the thing also. Like she works with, I think, another person, or at least she has 1 or 2 other partners. And one of her partner was in Asia. So she's from Hong Kong, and that's where she sourced those earrings. And her partner took all the pictures of the item that she got, and those were supposed to come to me. But she sends them to her first, and then she inspects them because I paid her, right? She invoiced me, and then she sent those items to me afterwards. So in a gist, that's kind of how it worked out. Everything felt very smooth. I just felt like, my questions were always answered. She was also, like a nice person to talk to in a way. So you kind of get a good vibe. And that's what I would expect as a buyer. Like I want you, if I have questions, that you would be courteous and polite with me. Of course, I'll be polite too. Like, there are bad buyers too. So that's why we're sharing 2 sides of the story as well. But yeah, essentially everything felt like, it was invoice. It was, I knew that it was coming from Hong Kong, like from her partner there. So every step just felt very seamless. So that was my experience buying from her. And then after the earrings, I bought a bag from her, the bucket bag. And the 3rd time was actually, I bought the bracelet that I wear all the time, the pearl bracelet, but it was actually not from her. It was from one of her clients. But it was, referred through her. So yeah, that's basically my experience as a buyer on IG. Like I didn't buy it from some random person. She was not really a reseller. She was kind of a personal shopper. But I guess the last item that I bought through her was a resold item because it was her clients. And yeah, so it's important to feel like there was good communication throughout the process. That's what I would say as a buyer. That's what I would really expect from her. And she charged me, you know, fees and everything, but you know, it kind of comes with the territory. And in a way, when you pay the extra fee, especially by being invoiced, supposedly you get the protection as a buyer too. So yeah, so that was my experience on IG.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you, were there like did you feel like along the entire buying process, did you feel like any, just like unsure or anything that will stop you and say like, oh, I'm going to take back the money, or any of the process that she put forward, did you didn't feel? So I think that's really important. Like you feel reassured.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Good communication for sure. I think, which is why, like, I think because I'm a seller myself on IG, I know how a buyer feels. Because if I was on the other end, I would, you know, be anxious that, you know, if the item, does it come with a receipt? Like, how does the receipt look like? Even the receipt has, you know, all the credit card information and the name, they were all blanked out. Like, she used a really heavy marker and blacked everything out. And I think basically once she bought the item, once her partner bought the item, she would take a picture of the receipt with everything blacked out. So I know that that's the receipt that I'm supposed to receive as well. Yeah. So there was no, at any point in time, there was no, like, I didn't feel uneasy. And that's a very important aspect of as a buyer, I guess. Nothing is guaranteed, but at least I didn't feel like I was being there was like nothing that was suspicious. There was nothing that I was like worried about, except, you know, waiting for the item to arrive, basically, because that's like the postal service and everything, right?
Awesome. Thank you. So for me, I have also bought several times on IG, and I think I'm going to share one which is for me the most scariest, which is actually my Birkin. My Birkin was bought through an IG seller, and that's a lot of money to transfer to a stranger, right? How did I come about this IG seller? And I've shared it on Instagram, on my YouTube about it. I bought it from Finkel Puff. Finkel Puff is a reseller. She's sort of like a middlewoman, where she will work with other resellers, other buyers, other sellers, you know, people like me, myself, selling to her, and she'll sell to other people. So she's like the middle person that sources all these bags from all over, and she will, you know, sell them. So she's pretty large in Singapore. And the only reason why I took the risk, right, that time to buy from Finkel Puff was Stephanie, was that I knew another friend who has bought 2 bags from her already and was very pleased with the service. And I think that is the number one thing, having somebody that you know bought and sort of vouch for the purchase. That gave me a little bit of confidence to a certain extent. And then after that, after that, I started to deal with Stephanie. And how I dealt with her, I didn't actually directly message her on Instagram, though her feed is on Instagram. She left her phone number on the platform, so you can actually call her or WhatsApp her. So in Asia, we use a lot of WhatsApp. I'm not sure about other countries. So we use a lot of WhatsApp. Basically, WhatsApp is like our main source of communication. Like WeChat maybe in China and some parts of Asia, but for me, it's like WhatsApp. So I messaged her, WhatsApp messaged her, and we communicated it was really smooth. So she was very quick to respond. The only thing is I feel like maybe initially when she gets the message from me, she was not so, I want to say not as friendly as how I would be. She's more like, very straightforward. This is the bag, this is the price. There's no like, hi, there's no cheeriness at the start. But I think as I start to, engage with her a bit more, then she, kind of opens up. And I'm going to share a little bit about that aspect later on. But yeah, so we talked on WhatsApp and it was very smooth. She was just, giving me all the information, send me all the pictures. If I asked, can you take a closer picture to the buckle? She did that. And the second thing, the second thing is the communication. And the third thing that I thought it was okay, there wasn't really any, worries at that moment, was that she guarantees 100% refund if I find out that the bag has any issue. So I told her I'm going to get it authenticated. And if anything happens, what am I going to do? She said, I guarantee if it comes back anything, you're not happy, you get the money back from me. And I have that in a message. I'm like, okay. Third thing that made me very confident. And yeah, so then we did a transaction. And for me, it was bank transfer. So I transferred her, I believe it was like 20, maybe 30% first, or maybe half. I can't really remember the quantum for the initial part. So I paid her first. And then she sourced the bag from another seller. And then she said, once I get the bag at my hand, I will check it. So that also brought another layer of confidence, like more reassurance, right? Because I knew that the bag was going to her. She's going to inspect it, make sure that it's okay. It is as described by the other seller. And then we actually met up to pick up. So a little bit different from a delivery and all that. I didn't go through that. I actually met her in the mall, picked up the bag. And yeah, so in a way, I saw her in person, and yeah, I took the bag back and I got it authenticated. My authentication was done with Baba Baby. And when I told Baba Baby where I got the bag from, Baba Baby was like, oh, Stephanie. Yeah, okay. So there was this additional like, oh, Stephanie? Like there was this layer of like, oh, Stephanie knows her stuff. So once she authenticated the bag, it was authentic, gave me the cert. I felt very reassured. And even Stephanie said to me that at any time I want to sell the bag back, she guarantees that I can have a buyer because it's the gold Birkin with palladium hardware. So she says, no problem, bring it back. I'll sell it for you straight away. So there's this, I guess I felt quite reassured with the whole process of buying through an IG seller, though it's not directly an IG, but through an IG seller. The communication was smooth. There was people buying from her. Even the authenticator know who she was. That just built up a bit of trust and made me very reassured that I was putting so much money out there to a stranger, but yet I felt confident. Yeah, so that's my version of buying on IG.
Yeah, you know what? I think feeling confident about the individual, the whole process, the whole transaction up until the end is so important. And while you were talking, I was trying to make these mental points to say, because I don't want to forget, is that, we had good experiences. And the thing is, like, we see it very often. Like, we're not saying our seller did anything bad or anything, but you see it often on IG where they say, oh, that person is such like a big seller on IG, or I heard about her through who's and whose video, or who's and whose you think that other people got good experience, that you would get a good experience too. It's not always the case, which is why it's still a case by case basis. That's why I said earlier that nothing is guaranteed. Just because someone else had a great experience doesn't guarantee your experience. And we're just, it's good to be cautious still, whether you get you know, you can do all your homework and everything, but in the end, if your chemistry with that person or if your experience with that person wasn't great, then those are all the sort of warning signs already.
True,
And
true.
don't proceed, basically.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, I'm going to add on to that point because I had my personal experience with Finkelpath was good, but and I vouched for her. I said she's good, you know, but I have people who have told me that she's not so good, and I actually feedback to Stephanie. I said, "What's going on?" And she actually explained to me in her perspective as a seller, and I actually understand where she's coming from. I may not agree with the way she is doing it, but I can understand. So it's once you have this huge platform where you're selling, chances are you do get a lot. You get inundated with DMs, SMSs, WhatsApp messages, you know, all kinds of things because you also put your phone number there. And she is like, I think maybe a one woman show with everyone getting all the stuff from her. So she tells me that she said that, yeah, you know, sometimes she gets hundreds of messages every day. And maybe like 80% of them are just fishing, fishing for pictures, fishing for prices, but they're not really buying. So I think if you're in that selling mode where you actually are doing a business, you do maybe are weary of messages that come in because you don't know this one message is going to waste your time. So she's like, I get so many, and some of them are just, you know, constantly messaging me throughout the day for pictures. But then at the end of the time, at the end of it, she's like, they will say things like, I'll think about it. And then they disappear off. And she's like, oh my gosh. It's like, and I can understand where I can understand where she's coming from. There's this frustration and this weary, like, is this buyer for real? So she's initially not as open, but once she gets a feel of you, and like for me, I'm like, oh, I'm really interested, I'm sincere, she kind of like, okay, chills, you know, so her guard goes down, because otherwise I guess she wastes a lot of time entertaining a lot of people. So like I said, I understand where she's coming from. I may not agree with how she's doing it, but I can imagine it can get very intense, especially if she's selling Birkins with good prices and Kellys and all that. So everybody's experiences is slightly different. And one more thing I wanted to add, that she didn't know I had a platform. So she doesn't know that I'm on YouTube. She just thought she's me as just another Instagram person that just wants to buy from her. So I think that is her stand for most, her initial approach for most buyers, first-time buyers, that is maybe not sure because they're high-priced items.
Oh, so when you said that she didn't know, you mean you don't think that she checked out your IG? That's interesting, because if someone DMs me for an item that they want to purchase from me, first thing I want to do is click on their profile to check them out first. I mean, a lot of times it's private, but you know what I mean? Like I would be like, oh, who's that person? Like I would want at least know first impression, just who's that person? Like, not that you would get a lot of info off of it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, she didn't. She didn't know until later on, where I finally finished the entire transaction. And then I told her, I said, thank you very much. I really enjoyed, I mean, the whole transaction was good. Is it okay for me to share about it? That's only when I told her, I said, I'm going to put it on my video and share. She's like, oh, okay, thank you. She didn't know, actually. She's like, because I needed to get her permission, whether is it okay to share her name and all that, and the whole experience, because maybe they don't want it. I don't know. So yeah, she didn't know at first. And then after that, that's how I knew about some other people. They had bought from her and they got good experience, but there were some that were like, she was really, really rude. And I'm like, what happened?
Right. Which is always interesting, right? Which is why yeah, it's so like that's one thing that I require off of when I'm a buyer. I need the communication to be extremely smooth and seamless. Like, obviously people are busy, they have lives and everything. I don't expect them to be glued to their phone, but if I ask you a question, I still, you know, I still would want an acknowledgement that, oh, sorry, I'm really busy right now, but I'll get back to you as soon as I, get back in my car or get back home or whatever. Like, you want to be able to feel like you're in the loop, which is why, is it okay if I start sharing as a seller how I
Yeah,
do
go
it?
ahead. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. So I do sell on IG, just my personal stuff. So I guess because we have a platform, we can also sort of do like a video and do like a block sale. But in general, I think those are pretty frowned upon, and like in the end, I'm never really in a rush to sell. So whenever I decide to sell anything, I usually just post it on my IG, and I do usually keep it separate from my main IG. I do have like a separate IG where I'm able to put all the description and just several photos of the same item. And usually I want to be able to, put very detailed photos. I put photos of the front, the back, the side. If there's, the corners, usually those things are pretty, asked about. A lot of description, and then I just ask people to contact me via email, because if you get questions like, DMs and inquiries from all different sides, like either from your YouTube or from email or from DM, which one came first, you don't know, right? So I prioritize the ones that come from email. But I still do answer the DMs. If some people just, even if it says, please email me, they still DM you. So I still answer them, but like, anyway. So as a seller, like I said earlier, I kind of want to vet the buyer too, but of course I'll answer the whatever questions that person has. Is there any, like, if they ask for more photos, I usually just email them a bunch, because I would have taken a bunch already. You can't post as many pictures on Instagram. You can post 10 in the same one. But, I put the main ones in there, and then I have a bunch more on my phone or on my camera. I always make sure to answer their questions and be as timely as possible. So obviously, if it's a time zone difference, then I'm sure they would understand. But most of my buyers, are from North America, so that works out pretty well. And once it's sold, so usually we agree on a payment form. So because a lot of my buyers are either Canadian or from the US. So if it's from the US, then it's, PayPal, usually invoice, unless they want to do PayPal friends and family. I give them the choice. But if it's in Canada, we have Interact email transfer here. And as long as they agree to it and they pay me, then, I tell them that when they pay me, I will generate the shipping label. I'll send them that tracking number right away, or I'll tell them when I can generate it. And then I take pictures of the packing process. This is something that I learned from Kat, actually. I didn't actually really do that before, but I still took a lot of pictures, but not the packing process per se. Sometimes I would film it. That's something that I did do before, but not every single time. But now I actually, like, this is what I learned from Kat last time. So I started taking the pictures of me packing the things. And it's also good to let the buyer know how your things pack, to give them the sort of comfort that, oh, my item won't be damaged in transit, if there's enough bubbling inside and all that stuff, right? Final picture is usually with the shipping label on it. I do use like electronical labels, so everything is very clear. Like if they see that there is something wrong with their address, they should be able to see it on the picture as well. But usually I double check, triple check everything anyway. And then once it's sent off, like once it's been scanned at the post office, I email them right away again. Like I tell them that, okay, your item has already been picked up or it's already been shipped. And I track it myself as well. So as soon as it arrives in their city, usually it means that within the same day or within a few hours later, it will be delivered. So I I track it till it's been delivered. And then once it's delivered, the moment I know it's delivered, I email them again to let them know that it's been delivered. So during the whole process, I feel like I bombard them with more messages than they do with me. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like no sellers have done that for me, but I feel more confident if I did that as a seller for them. Like I just feel like if I was in their place, I would really appreciate that. So I actually go through all these steps. I don't know if that's really necessary, but I feel like I don't sell a lot anyway, and I sell my personal stuff. And I feel like once you agree with someone else and you have this intimate relationship, usually they tell me, oh, I love your videos or whatever. Like you have more of an intimate relationship versus a reseller who doesn't really know who you are. So I do keep more of a more intimate. I just want to be, in the know myself and let them know at the same time. And usually once I tell them that it's been delivered, did you get it? How, hope you enjoy your item. They usually reply back once they opened it and they tell me how it was. And they're usually, well, I think 100% of the time they were happy that everything was so smooth and seamless. Sometimes they don't get back to me within the hour or two, and I freak out. I'm like, what happened? Please let me know that you got it, But usually they're just at work, or they just haven't been, they were just eating and haven't been able to open the box yet. Usually that's what happened. But yeah, I think as a seller, just as a buyer, it's so important to communication, basically, whether is agreeing on how you want the payment to be, because some people also, they have maybe like a tight budget. Maybe someone was younger, but they wanted to buy something off of me, and then they asked me if they can pay me in 3 payments. Like everyone is different. Everyone's agreement could be different, but at the end of the day, I feel like as much as I try to mentally judge them or vet them as a buyer, I also try like once it's paid and once everything is agreed on and once it's paid, I try to do my best to make them feel comfortable about the transaction. So yeah, the key at the end of the day, the key is communication. I feel like a lot of the incidents that has happened online that we have been told or made aware of is a lack of communication. And the thing is, like, nothing is guaranteed. If someone really wants to scam you, they will. So you just do your due diligence, you do your best. And if in the end it still happens, it happens to the best of us, basically. Sometimes it is what it is in a way, but yeah, which is why it's so hard. Like, we're just sharing from our point of view how we would have liked things to be. And yeah, as a seller, I would definitely want to be keeping the buyer in the loop, like very, very tightly.
True.
And
Thank you. So yeah, good one. Actually, I'm probably like repeating it, but yeah, it's exactly how I always treat when I sell something. And let me just put it out there first. I think for me, myself, and I'm going to say for Amy as well, we don't like to sell.
Yes. No, it's very stressful.
I think selling is so stressful because me as a seller, firstly, the selling process, right? To deal with people who want to buy with us, the negotiation, the discussion, but the selling, the actual like packing and making sure it arrives there safely, not lost, it's very stressful. It's like, why do I put myself in this position, right? So let's just say it first, we don't like to sell. But when we do sell, like for me, I sell sometimes because I want to fund something, but I also get a lot of messages. I mean, not a lot, but once in a while I'll get DMs and messages or emails and saying, hey, Kat, I really like, say, your Chanel camera bag. Are you interested to sell it? And I'll be like, yeah, okay. I didn't sell it. I'm just saying that, I do get emails like that. And then we go through the selling process. So for me, I do the same thing because I always think of myself as the buyer as well. So I'm selling to a Kat, and I know Kat will be very concerned with where her money is coming to and whether the thing is shipped properly and whether the thing is, insured and all that. So if I look at that position, her in that stressful position, I wanted to reduce her stress, right? So I would do everything that I can in my power to make sure that the item is coming to you. So the same thing, the I've sold a few times. So just generally, I think what I'll do is I'll talk to the person on IG. And for me, I prefer to sell in Singapore or in Malaysia. And like now I'm actually in Singapore. So I have some sales that are in Malaysia. And I guess it's because I do go back to Malaysia. I'll say, you know what? If you're okay to wait, I will meet you. I would rather hand deliver it to the person because shipping is so scary. But I have done shipping. I've done it to Philippines. I've even done it to America. And my preferred method is overnight shipping, because the shipping process, that 24 hours, 48 hours is stressful because you don't know what will happen in the entire few hours. So there are times that the buyer will select normal shipping. And so same as Amy, I would and Amy, actually I didn't come up with the whole taking the photo of the packing process. It happened because a seller did it for me. So a seller in the UK, her name was I think her name is Sonia. She's from Global Closet, Lux Closet. She's pretty big on IG.
I heard about her. I heard about that IG, and I know of a friend who buys from them.
Yeah.
So
she is what did she do? She did it for me. She took a photo, and it was the earrings. Yep, it was the vintage, the CC earrings. And we did the transaction. I bank transferred it to her, and then she like slammed me with like 10 photos in my DM with box, bubble wrap, card on top. And then I was like, oh, okay, thank you. I mean, I didn't expect it, but I thought, wow, that's so good, because then I can imagine when I open the box, I would see something bubble wrapped with the receipt on top. Rather than, and I can imagine why she did that, because sometimes maybe when the box arrives at customs, they might rip it open, you might lose something, and then she said, oh, I've actually sent it. So it's also a protection for her. So I thought that was such a good idea. So I started to do it. I would take a photo. I would take various photos, whether or not I send it. I think I send some, not all, but I'll send it. And I'll also take a video. And then when I go to the post office, I would like literally, so I'm so crazy. I would take a photo of me like, I'm here. Whether or not I actually send it to the seller, that's a totally different thing. It's just for me, my own peace of mind.
I did that once, but not like you. So, because a lot of times I actually ask the postman to come pick up. They do pick up services. You have to pay for it, but like they do pick up, and you just pay for once, and they pick up everything.
Yes.
And one time, so I opened the door, and I had my phone on my hand, and it was filming, right? And I was filming the box, so I wanted to film him pick up the box and leave with it, right? So he left. I locked the door, and then he knocked on the door a minute later, and then he asked me, I'm sorry, but I need to ask you, were you filming me? I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have told you that I was filming you. But yes, I was filming you pick it up just to prove that it was picked up, and that it was, that it was gone from my hands. It was out of my hands. It was in the hands of the postman. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit, from now on I have to actually tell them that I was filming them. You know what I mean?
That is funny. Yeah, so I do that. So I will go and I'll take, so depending on what they do, what I select as shipping, sometimes it's FedEx overnight, sometimes it's the normal shipping. Then I'll take a photo, like you take a photo of the tracking number, and then I'll just send it as a picture. And then from that moment on, I'm tracking it. I'm like online seeing, it's left Singapore, and I'll take a photo. I'm like, hey babe, it's left Singapore. It should arrive in 2 days. And then I'll track it. And then once it arrives in the country, same as you, I will be like, it's in your country. And some of my buyers will be like, oh, okay, cool, thank you. I'm like, aren't you worried? I'm worried for you. I guess it's just that I'm not used to shipping so much. I would prefer to hand deliver, especially wherever I can. But when it's shipping, I just feel like I have this huge fear that my package will get lost half away. And I actually tell my buyers whenever I remember is that I want to do overnight shipping because it's guaranteed. It's very expensive, but at least it's 100% that, there is no issue. But if they don't want to do that, I'll say, if it's anything happen, I'm not going to be liable for the loss, because I'm telling you upfront, because I don't know what I don't know will happen in logistics. And some buyers will take the risk. They'll be like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, a few days of stress for me because I'm constantly on the tracking website, like, where is it? It's shipped to here. It's at the transit. It's in customs, cleared customs. And only the moment where they tell me, Kat, I've received it. I've opened it. It's really good. Or, I'm happy. Thank you so much. That's when I go like, welcome. So yeah, it's a process, and I'm very happy that I can sell it. But it's something that I want to do for my seller, and maybe like Amy said, it's excessive. But I think if I get that good communication out to the buyer, they know that I'm not out there to cheat them or do some kind of hanky panky that they don't know. I'm actually like, girl, the thing is coming. Your bag or your SLG is coming. So yeah. But again, we don't like to sell. It's stressful.
Yes. So yeah, basically moral what is it? Moral of the day? No. Is that how you say it?
Moral of the story.
Anyway, basically, if you can, everybody, our best advice for you is to try your best to not buy if you don't have to buy it. Try your best to not sell if you don't have to sell it. And also not resell, I guess, because I know it's a very lucrative business. We're seeing more and more of these IG accounts pop up, or sometimes they switch into that kinds of account. And it's very understandable. Obviously, we're not saying that it's bad to buy or to sell or to resell. We're not saying it's bad, but there's so many out there. And then we're hearing these stories because some of them are not so honest, right? And they take advantage of the honest people, or they take advantage of this trend on Instagram but they're not really they're not really actually doing what they're supposed to do, right? So the best course of action is to don't buy, don't sell, and don't resell. If you can. I know it's impossible, but which is why buying exactly enough, but as little as possible, and only the ones that you absolutely love, like the things that you absolutely love, is very crucial. Not because of trend, not because it's good resale value, not because it's a classic, and not because everyone has one. You know what I mean? Buy because you love it. Buy because you absolutely need it. Also, don't overbuy. No more duplicates, so you don't have to resell them in the future.
Hey, you know what? Here's a shameless plug. Buy from us because we will track your item until you receive it in your fingers.
No, it's so true. Like, I would feel 1,000% confident buying from Kat. And I don't even need to ask her questions. I'd be like, oh, pick this up for me. I'll pay you and just ship it to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's just some people, or at least, I guess we do put our faces online. It's not like where we live and everything, but we do put our faces and our reputation online. We don't want it to be ruined. Why would we do things to ruin it, right? So obviously we're out there to just sell our personal things, if we ever sell anything, and it's like always just a handful of those things. So yeah, buy from us if you can. Just buy from us.
We'll be stressed, like, oh my gosh, is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? But yeah, I think with IG, it's hard because one thing, it's word of mouth, right? Word of mouth. It always starts with that, like I'm recommending this person or that person. But I guess with the ones that are with bigger ones, it's also your own comfort level of how you, because like, I mean, for me, I want to be 100% comfortable, but my 100% comfortable may not be Amy's 100% comfortable, right? She might say, oh, that's not enough communication for me. I'm like, that's good enough. So it's so relative. And with so many sellers now, I think maybe in the past 3 or 4 years, it's like there's just so many. And buying from this platform, like we said in our last live stream, is not guaranteed. Like preferably, if you want to be 100% risk adverse, like totally buy it from the store, because I think that mitigates a lot of this issues and incidences that have come about wherever you can, right? I mean, not every item can be bought from the store, which is also the reason why IG is exploding, right? You get all this vintage pieces, hard to get pieces, and yeah, so we don't know. There's no right answer to this actually, but as much as the good thing is, the thing to do is don't buy so much. We're talking to ourselves though.
And really hard, because we were also thinking when we were discussing about this topic and how we were going to approach it today, it's also very hard for us to just give you a list of things to be careful of. There's always something new that you would not have thought about. But like we said, always due diligence, but also like your gut feeling has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah.
If during the whole process of the communication something feels wrong, then that's usually like a red alert, and maybe a good idea to just pass. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just it's a materialistic thing, right?
True.
Find someone else to buy from or to sell to. Sometimes the buyer can be a scammer too. Like, it's not just sellers. It's a two-way street. Sometimes, like, I'm like, when I used to sell on Craigslist back then, or even on Facebook sometimes, because on Facebook, it's also just another type of community, right? But at least everyone is there for luxury. But especially on Craigslist, that you get these, oh, I'll pay you your asking price. Can you send it to whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you just know it's wrong because, like, first of all, most people that contact me want to like lowball me 50% of my own price, of my asking price, first of all, right? And second of all, like, I'm not going to send it to some random address. You want to be protected. And that's why we're not going to teach you how to be protected. But if you want to be a seller, you have to kind of read the terms. Say if you're going to use PayPal, you kind of have to know the terms because it applies. Sometimes they're different for your country too. Like things, and PayPal changes all the time. Like I don't know. I think right now the buyer or the seller, they're not even protected the same way that they used to. So you have to know these things if you're gonna use any of these ways to get paid and or to transact. And there's other ways to get paid and to pay as well. So you kind of have to learn it and be aware of those things as well. And ask questions, I guess, if you're not sure. And until you're quite confident that, everything is going to be like, you feel confident about that individual, and then you feel like you've done enough of your own research and knowledge gathering, that then go ahead, go do it. And if it still turns out to be problematic, like if that person still turns out to be scamming you in the end, then I guess it is what it is. And sometimes these things just happen. Like I said, if there was someone really trying to scam you and they were successful, then yeah, it sucks. But we basically just sharing our own experiences, and then just telling you what we would expect and how we would have done it. And then at the end of the day, we all will have different experiences, and you kind of have to learn a bit also on your own how to deal with these things. And
yeah,
we
totally,
hope that
totally.
this was helpful in a way.
Okay, so we've got quite a lot of comments. I'm just gonna put one of mine first. So wait, let me just. Oh no, I can't do that. If I move down, I'll lose all the comments. Okay, never mind. I just left a comment to say that if you have any questions, leave a bunch of question marks at the start. And I'll pick it out. So I'm just gonna go. I saw a lot of comments. I think a lot of comments. So I'll just pick out some. Here we go, and then we'll just see. So thank you for listening to us. We're just sharing because really, I mean, there is everybody had a different experience, right? And it's really scary that there were these incidences that happened, and it happened to regular people, and we can dissect it in so many ways. But I think for me personally, the moment that gut feel, you got like, I don't feel so comfortable. To me, you should like end the deal, whether it's selling or buying. You should just end it. But yeah, that's probably the first instinct. Like, okay, I'm not getting a good feel. Like, maybe it's the conversation, right? The good conversation is always a good indicator. Wow, we got so many people here. Okay.
Exactly. And then I guess I will share one tip that I do. It's not guaranteed, and it's just something that I do. Like, no one taught me this. Is sometimes if you want to just especially if you sell on Craigslist, like, to a general public, sometimes if you want to just plug in their email on Google and just search if their email is associated to any sort of known scammers, or even their phone number, like if you have their phone number or their address or just their name, like just plug in those information on the browser and just press enter and just see if there's anything on them. And you'd be surprised if it turns out to be like a lot of the Craigslist one, especially if it turns out to be someone who's like spamming people, phishing people, or scamming people. A lot of threads would be about that email address or about that phone number. Like, I'm sure you get a lot of the spam calls. If you put that phone number on Google, it will tell you, oh yeah, that's whatever marketing or whatever spam number. So a lot of times you can just do a very quick preliminary search of who you're dealing with. So like I said, a lot of these are like coming from Craigslist, like general people that so I'm not saying that this will necessarily help you, but that's like something that takes you a minute to do, basically.
That's good. That's a good tip. Thanks. So, okay, Maria's asking, is IG buying, selling more prevalent in Asia? It's not something that I understand in terms of authenticity, as photos can be faked and the supply chain could deliver fake goods to seller. Totally. As for buying and selling prevalent in Asia, I think in the recent years, because now it's so easy, anybody can buy and anybody can sell on Instagram. However, just in the past like few weeks, I've been seeing a lot of accounts being taken down. Did you see that as well, Amy? Like a lot of reseller accounts being taken down. I'm not sure what happened.
Were you following them, and then one day you couldn't see them anymore?
I was following them, but then I saw some people like say, oh, this who and whose account has been blocked by Instagram, and they cannot get back access into their accounts. And a lot of those accounts that were blocked by Instagram were mostly resellers. So I'm not really sure what happened recently. I saw even Jerusha posted to say that this Instagram account that was blocked by Instagram is actually a proper business account. So anyway, that's side topic. But yeah, I think buying on IG and selling on IG has become more popular in the recent years. And yeah, that's the risk, right? Because you don't know what photos they're sending to you until you get the item in your hand, which is why for me, when I bought my Birkin, I don't really know if she was going to send me all kinds of photos. I didn't know that time, really. I was like a virgin IG buyer. And having the bag on my with me and looking at it, and then after that I took my own photos to send for authentication was good. But I also knew that if I felt anything wrong with the bag, I could physically find Stephanie and say, give me my money back. So there was that, I guess, in a little, like for me, there was the additional layer of assurance. But I can't say that situation for a lot of people because we are in Singapore, right? So it's a pretty small place.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I guess we do rewatch. One of our live show was about authentication. We brought in a professional authenticator. So definitely, I think Kat will have that linked later. So if you have any questions about authenticity, that's an additional layer of step that you should probably do if you're, still unsure about the item after you receive it. So that's the different, that's like a whole topic that we did in addition to today.
So Complete 31 saying, I'm too scared to buy from anywhere that doesn't have a full refund policy. I absolutely agree. So this, when for me in the Birkin is like a lot of money, right? So I guess the ultimate test of authenticity is when I send this bag back to Hermes Spa. That is the ultimate test of authenticity. Like if they take it back. And I am, as a buyer, even though I've got it authenticated twice, that's a bit much, I know, but twice, it's something that I have a reassurance at my back that I know I can find my buyer, my seller, and I can tell her, I said, dude, 3-4 years ago, you sold me this. Though I got it authenticated, Hermes is saying something totally different, and I have proof that she will refund me. So I feel like that lifetime guarantee is so important, especially for such big ticket items. But I can't say the same thing for other countries. Like it's hard because your seller could just be in Hong Kong, right, Amy? How do you get that?
Yeah, and a lot of these IG sellers, like we said earlier, a lot of them are just people like you and me. Started off maybe just posting some pictures and just having fun, but then maybe you're a VIP yourself and you realize that you can have a little side business, and then a lot of them just started doing that and then became a reseller. And like I said, there's nothing wrong. Basically, you're in a way you're helping someone else find an item. So yes, you're providing a service. Yes, you're charging for it, but you're still helping someone else, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. We're not saying that it's bad to sell or to buy on IG, but it's just it also gives the opportunity for those that are not there to help people to actually scam people, right? So yeah, I guess that's why the whole communication thing and the gut feeling thing is it's so important. And if you're really risk averse, just don't do it.
Yeah, actually that's 100% true. Like if you can't, there'll always be another item, there'll always be another pair of earrings, there'll always be another bag. Yeah, just don't do it, because that constant voice at the back of your head going like, oh, what if this, what if that, it's not worth the stress. Just forget it. Move on, because the trend, so many better things to buy.
Yeah. And sometimes you wait long enough, that item becomes a classic. You can just buy it at the store. Like those earrings, that's exactly what happened.
Oh my gosh. True. Okay, Maria, there are well-established brick-and-mortar dealers in Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore, USA. Why is there IG purchasing, especially if over 2K? Is it about quicker gratification? That's a good point. Yeah. So there's a lot of these shops, like I think in Singapore, there's this like Madame Milan, and Hong Kong has Madame Milan as well. They're very, very established. I guess with IG, it's the accessibility, because it's, you're on your phone, right? With anything that is on your phone and you see it so quick, so easily. And sometimes the IG sellers have better items, because the ones that I notice in the brick and mortar shops, they are usually older ones. They are maybe not as trendy, and they're not as new as well. So the ones on IG, they have pieces that are current. They have hard to find pieces. They can source it from so many places so quickly. So I think that's the reason why they are so popular as well. Their ability to source hard to get popular or even vintage items so quickly compared to the brick and mortars. What do you think?
Yeah, the so quickly thing, sometimes is literally even before anybody has, like, okay, a lot, like I said earlier, I follow a lot of IG accounts. I don't even know them, but a lot of them, they have pictures, and they're from, it even says it on the picture, confidential use only. Like, it's literally the pictures of essays that can see what's coming up, but it hasn't, the stock is not even there yet, but like you can tell, like the next collection, those are the items that they will be receiving. Like sometimes those are the kind of pictures that I want to see, because I want to know what's coming up. But yeah, a lot of these people, stock is not even available locally where you are, but they might have dibs on them already because they either are VIP, like I said, or they just somehow have the connection. So
yeah, you're right. They are so fast. Some of them are just like, wow, where do you get that from? Oh, Europe, Hong Kong, Taiwan. And they're like, what, girl? You're like, shh. So I guess that's the other thing. So MK's got MK wants to be our personal shopper.
Yes.
Kat, you want to hunt down something at Chanel? Feel free to ask me.
Thank you, MK. But you know what? Just like I know what's going on in France a little bit, because I do listen to news from the Quebec side, and they talk about France also. And it's not a safe time to go out, so we won't be asking you anytime soon. But once it's safe, we might ask you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a comment, I think, from Christina. Some sellers don't quote the actual offer price, but will quote figures like 1x900. Such permutations vary, though, from 10K to 19K. Guess that generate a lot of checks? Checks as in like verification?
No, I think a lot of people asking, oh, how much is it really? I think.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I see that, it actually, I don't want to ask. When I see that, me individually myself, because and I think usually they use 1x blah 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 for like Birkins and things like that, because we all know they're expensive, and we know it'll start in the 10,000s at least. So when I see that, I just, especially if I know that no, I'm not ready, then I just don't even ask, unless I was already looking and have had that item on my wish list and I was ready to buy it, then yes, I will ask. So I don't necessarily know if it will generate more inquiries per se. I think it really just depends on the individual.
Yeah. So you're right. I think for me, how I look at it is by looking at the picture of the Birkin. If I see a 1x000, and if it was a Birkin 30 gold hardware Togo Ethiopia, I can guarantee you that X is going to be a 9. So it's like you kind of, because you are looking at the Birkin and you know they're a reseller, and therefore you know it's going to be premium. I think from common sense, I already know that the X is more likely to be the higher amount. And if it was a Birkin 30, say 10 years old, red color, silver hardware, which looks a little slouchy, I don't think they will put 1X. They'll probably put like 9X, and then the X is 900. So I think there's a little bit of that element of, because the prices are very high already, and I feel X usually hides the larger number. I won't hide the zero, though, definitely not. That's me personally, and I do agree. I would only approach the seller if I'm already in my mind ready to pay a premium for a bag, and I'm looking for that particular bag. So it could definitely still generate more checks, because maybe there are people that are not sure and they just want to try their luck. But a lot more, I don't really think so. Not like a lot more.
Yeah, I think that maybe the ones that will check a lot is the ones that are not really serious. They're just nosy. They just want to know how much you're going to charge, because maybe they want to charge that too. I don't know. They're just curious. But someone who is like me, and if I'm not even ready to buy, even if I was curious, I'm not ready to buy, I'm not going to ask.
True.
Why bother?
True.
You're not ready. You don't buy.
Yeah. Exactly. I think when it comes to such high price items, it's like, why are you asking? Because I don't know. Like, I personally won't approach these sellers unless I've got a lot of free time to be nosy with them. But it's like, I'm wasting my time, wasting their time. Like, I won't bother. But I know there are some people who are just like, let's check the price, and I'm like, no, it's expensive. So that's personally for me lah.
Yes, and I think that's why that's something that I do also personally when I am a seller. Even if I'm just selling my own items, I make the additional step of asking people to please email me, because if they have to at least take their time to type my email and say hello, Amy, and then they usually greet me, and then I'm also picky too. Like, if I get an email and it just says how much, I'm not going to respond. Why would I respond? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to sell it to someone who doesn't value my time too. You know what I mean?
True. I get a lot of that in Carousel. So Carousel is a similar platform, which I believe it's sort of like a mix between a Depot and maybe Craigslist, where you can sell anything, anybody, all your stuff. And I get all this kind of irritating questions. And on Carousel, if any of you come and buy from me on Carousel, I'm a mean seller on Carousel. And the reason is because you get oh my God, it's like, you get people like, how much? Price? They ask you like that. They leave one sentence like that. And then your item is so cheap. Your items, like some of my items are like $10. And they'll say, price? I'll give you $5. Like, get away from me. Okay, just get away from me.
And yeah, exactly. So annoying. And plus, sometimes, you already describe brand new, no defects. And then the question, which is not even a sentence, it's a phrase.
Yeah.
Any defects? I'm like, did you read it? Did you read the description? I'm not answering this.
I know. So actually, you know what? That was me last time. Like, where I would be very particular on my Carousel. I'll put like all the information, put like this chunk of description there, and yeah, you get questions like, I'll say like, no receipt, new, what age, They'll say like, receipt, box. I'm like, all right, that's it. That's it. If you're not gonna bother asking any, reading, I'm not gonna give you any information. I'll just say, new, box, full set.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's also a way to vet that person. That's your first step at vetting that person. How serious are they? Are they even a real buyer or a real seller? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's only me on Carousel, yeah. Because Carousel it's a totally different animal. It's like it's people who are just, I don't know what they do on Carousel. They're just like flipping, fighting for the best deal. They're not really sincere buyers. So there is that situation. But yeah, I agree. You know, if we sell, that's a good point to ask them to email you, because then there's that additional step that they take to say, I really want it. All right. Okay, Shanna, another question for you, Amy. Remember you mentioned that you come back after using your stuff. You will wipe down all the stuff. What do you use to wipe it with, handbags and jewelry?
Oh, yeah. You know, when I say wipe, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean like cleaning. It can just be, you know, you're inspecting your bag. If you see that there's dust, or if you especially I usually do that if I've been okay. So if I go out and I come back an hour later, I'm not gonna wipe my bag. I've only been out for a short time. But if I've been out the entire day and I went to so many different places, and maybe I just you know, I was throwing my bag around as well, then yeah. Or if I was traveling with the same bag, usually when I come back from that trip, I really do wipe it down. But so when I say a wipe it, sometimes it's just as easy as wiping with the microfiber mitt that it comes with. So say the Chanel bags, the microfiber mitt, just dry. You just go through the dust and like go through the chain, like where you hold it. It's not like real cleaning. It's kind of like just dusting. If you see, and if you when you inspect it, if you see there's like spots, like maybe there was maybe you dripped ice cream on, like, and you didn't know there was like a spot of ice cream on it, then you spot clean it. And usually, like we had the whole series, the whole show where we talked about cleaning. So yeah, you just do those things basically, and it doesn't have to be every time. I'm not that obsessed. I'm not that obsessed. I really just do it if I know that I've really used the bag that either that day or that week. Yeah, it's not every day. It's not that serious. And jewelry is just dry cloth, microfiber, very soft microfiber. Every time I wear my earrings, because you have oils on your face, right? And then your earrings touch your face. So you want to just use that dry microfiber cloth and just wipe away, just polish, basically. Polish as in like wipe, just make sure there's no grease residues that on the earring. That's all you need to do. It's really easy. It's maintenance. Yeah.
Maintenance, yeah. And once you make it as a habit, it just comes naturally. Like maybe for a start, I feel like how I do it, because I was never a person that will wipe my things down. Like I didn't think of it, because you know, you're not used to it, and maybe I just hit one or two items. I wasn't really sure. But now when I started to do it, is that I keep a cloth or some cloth near my jewelry box, so that I don't have to go and look for a cloth. I think the action of looking for a cloth, sometimes you're like, lazy lah. Or, you know, like, oh, where is it? I can't find it. And you get frustrated. So having it close by when you put your earrings down, and so you just like, oh, wipe it out. And then it becomes second nature. So having it in the same vicinity would also improve your chances of wiping things down. Because if it's not a habit, it's really difficult.
Yes, exactly. And once you make it a habit, and if it's as easy as just grabbing it because it's already there, you also avoid a lot of wear and tear. A lot of times, especially for jewelry, wear and tear happens when it's one of those things: air, humidity, and dirt, right? And sometimes the dirt is like your oils, whatever is like gunk is stuck on it, and then with the air it oxidizes and it makes it rust or whatever. So by just doing that simple step, and it takes less than a minute, it's such good maintenance. And that's why people are wondering why my bags look brand new. But I don't do much, but when you do it and like often, like you just do it because it's second nature, you don't have to do anything to take care of them. That's already part of using your bag. It's just it's as if you're putting it back, but before you put it back, you're not shoving it, right? You're just inspecting it for a second, you know, dusting it, and then you put it back. It's like second nature, basically.
Okay, I'll give you another tip. I'll give you guys another tip of how I try to remember to wipe my bags down before I store them. Is that I actually have a piece of cloth. Okay, for Chanel, it comes with its own cloth already, right? But I know some people don't like. They like to keep it's like they don't want to use it. They keep it still in the packaging. So if you can buy your additional microfiber cloths and put it within the boxes. So each of the box will have one. It might be a bit excessive, but if it's not a habit, sometimes you'd be, like I said, you'd be searching for it. So because I always wipe my bags down when I'm going to store them. Not every day after I bring it back, but every time before I store them, because like Amy said, you got oils, you got dirt, and if you have added with moisture and humidity, it equals mold. People, mold. And you don't want mold on your luxury Chanel bag. So I always wipe my bags down before I store it back in the box. And I store my bag in a box. So in each box, I have a small little piece of cloth. I may or may not use the Chanel cloth, but I do have my own, and I just keep it. So the moment I open my box, I'm like, cloth. Okay, fine. Because for me, it is additional work. But because it's there, and I've already set the stage that I should be doing it, I take the effort. And yeah, I haven't had any issue with bags getting moldy. Well, yeah, no, haven't had any issue with it. Because like you said, we care for it, right? And I think mold is only an Asian thing.
Yeah. Or really humid places, which we don't have any humid places in Canada. Well, actually, that's not true. It gets pretty humid in the summer, like in the Eastern Canada. But most people will always have AC on. It's too hard not to have AC on during the summer. It's like extreme weather in Eastern Canada, where I used to live. So,
okay, Shanna says, Amy, you're a good seller. I'm surely buy from you. Yes.
Just because we're collaborating on this live stream, it's not just the live stream. I don't just collaborate with anybody on a live stream every single week. You have to have a certain level of trust with that person. You respect that person. You trust that person. So yeah, I would not even hesitate to buy from Kat. No questions asked. Yeah.
Thank you. Are you selling your Gabrielle?
Me? No. Me. Why? Oh, for you. But you want the black one. I want to keep my black one.
Oh, okay. I will. A pending review from me. My mini reissue, girl. It's still in the box. I haven't even seen my reissue since I came back to Singapore. It's one of those things. Thank you, COVID, but it's one of those things. Yeah, but definitely once I see it in a few months, I hope to use it. That reminds me, I need to get my husband to, air all my bags while I'm not around.
Oh, man.
Okay, this is question from Nikki. Piggybagging is the mini issue thing. On the mini issue thing, I have one in red, but I like it, but I think the chain is heavy for the size of the bag. Piggybagging?
But which mini? Did she have something else that she asked earlier? She was saying the mini reissue, right? Maybe she was talking about the mini reissue.
Okay. Nikki, we lost you.
Does she mean the mini reissue in red?
I have the mini reissue in red. Yeah, heavy? I like it, but the chain is heavy for the size of the bag. Oh, piggybagging on the mini Oh, I get it. Okay. Yeah. She's talking about the mini reissue.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
It is actually, because the bag is so tiny and there's a lot of chain. There's a lot of chain, and it's a little bit like, I feel like the mini reissue is a little bit like the Chanel boy. the chain is heavier than the bag itself. So the bag feels a little bit like flimsy. But I think once I have stuff inside the bag, it kind of balances out. But when it's empty, it feels like it's flopping because it's so light compared to the chain. Is it issue? It's not really an issue. It's just how the bag is. I feel like if the bag is heavy and then you got a chain, and then once you put things inside, it's like it's heavier.
But I also wonder if she means when she's wearing the bag, because I do find that for the mini reissue or any reissues, if you wear it on one strap and your bag has stuff in it, one strap is so much thinner than the two straps together, right? Because your one strap is only this thin. If you wear it with two straps, then it becomes this thick, right? Then you have more of width, and it's that width of chain on your shoulder is supporting the same weight, which makes it a little lighter. So I don't know if are you wearing it on one chain or the two chains? Usually
chain.
When I wear my reissue, I do prefer it with the two chains because I do find that with one chain, it can dig in. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, anyway, I haven't tried using it. So once I get to using it, I will definitely test that out. It didn't occur to me because, yeah, still sitting pretty in the box.
And it also depends if you're wearing it during the summer or the winter. So in the winter, when you have a jacket and everything, then you don't feel it. But on a more bare shoulder, on a very thin fabric, the one chain can really dig in, especially if your bag is full.
Interesting. Okay. I'll check that out. Okay, I'm gonna go down. You know, we are hitting the 1.5 hour mark.
Yeah.
Can y'all tell? What do we want to do? Do you want to keep going? Please, because it's actually the Asian folks. Everyone else, I think, it's the same time. Maybe Australia could be a bit different. Let us just comment. Should we keep going for another half an hour? Yeah, it's about about 40 minutes. So please comment and let us know. Okay. I am back happy. Here in the Philippines, the IG seller market is booming. The recent boom for vintage bag sellers as well. So many scammers on both sides. Something to be wary of. Yeah, with any boom, because scammers will only go to where money is. And where money is where it is right now, the IG market. So we have to, it's booming because we are buying from it or we're selling in it. And with everything, there's a risk, right? So,
yeah, that's whenever there's a trend, everybody jumps on the trend. And yeah, that's why we're here to just talk about it, and we can all sort of exchange ideas and experiences. But we cannot. We can only share so much. Like in the end, how do you prevent it? Well, you know how to prevent it. We told you multiple times. But yeah, in the end, it all boils down to being super careful with who you deal with, and trust your gut instincts and do your homework too. Like, don't just trust your instinct.
Yeah,
don't just pick one of my advice and don't do the other.
Yeah. Dude, there has to be a set of things, right? I think based on our last live stream where we talked about where we prefer to buy, we both of us prefer to buy from the shop because that's from a buying perspective, right? Wherever we can, we try to buy from the store. And then the next level of buying is we prefer to buy from authorized sellers, authorized retailers. So if you're online, it's like the Farfetch, the Matches Fashion, which I forgot my first one, which is so scary because it's really my first time. And but then the next level, which is all the rest, which is the risk. So from a buying perspective, I think because Amy and our preference is at the top two levels. Yes, we have bought from IG, but it's such a rare. Yeah, I dare to say that it's pretty rare, which means that we're not so exposed to multiple possibilities of being in such situations. But yes, there are people who prefer the the eBays, the IGs, the Facebook groups, and that's their preferred channel. And it's not bad. It's actually really good because you get great deals. But it's just that you have to be very, very careful. You have to do your due diligence. You have to do your checks and all that. And even that, if a scammer wants to scam you, they will scam you. So so challenging, once you go away from the authorized layer, you just have to be wary, right? That's what Happy is saying. You just have to be extra wary.
Yeah. And it's hard because I know some people, they also maybe for a lot of you also don't have access to a store near you. So yeah, in those cases, I can only sympathize, but there are many reasons why this IG selling buying is still around, because it's a much needed service sometimes. Like I said, it's a service that's been provided, and it's helpful. It is helpful if everyone's legit and if everyone's honest. But yeah, totally. I think it happens to any sort of it's not just luxury. It happens to it's funny because the other day I was just it was yesterday. My husband was like, "Oh, what's your topic tomorrow?" He asked me now, like, "Oh, what are you and Kat gonna discuss tomorrow?" He just wants to know. And I'm like, "Oh, it's about IG selling, buying, and the scams that's been happening." And then he's like, "Oh, I've been scammed once." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "Oh, I bought a fake golf club from someone on Craigslist." And I'm like, how come I didn't know that? But I guess it happened a long time. And the thing is, yeah, he plays a lot of golf. So yeah, even he didn't realize until it was too late. He already paid him. He already got it in hand, and he tried to call him back. It was already done. It's like he didn't answer, nothing.
Oh my God.
It can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be just luxury.
True.
If someone wants to scam you and the thing looks legit when you do the exchange, it just looks legit, but it's fake in the end. It's still, yeah.
How did he know it's fake? As a golf club, I'm curious.
I should ask him, but in the end, he said that it was a replica, basically. Like, it's not really TaylorMade. It's TaylorMade is a brand. It's just a fake TaylorMade. It's a replica golf club. I'm like, what? But like golf clubs can get really expensive, huh?
True.
A lot of them, like hundreds of dollars, because he plays amateur golf, but that's the thing. He never really buys golf clubs at regular price because they're very expensive, but he likes the good golf clubs, so he would buy them when they go on sale at the store and stuff like that. But then once in a while, people will, because there's a lot of golfers here, but a lot of them, the legitimate sellers, they like to change their clubs. They want to just get the top end, and like they get the newest thing, and then they would sell their old, which is just from last year's model, and they would sell it at a good price. So those are the people that you want to buy from, because they're literally like good golf clubs that they're just old for them, but they can afford it. So usually it's fine. He's never really had an issue, but that one time apparently he got scammed.
Wow. But yeah, anyway, and everything can be faked, right? Everything, food as well. So Maria is saying, yeah, this is super fakes is a real issue. And okay, I'm diverting a little bit to talk about my latest purchase, which is the YSL puffer bag. Now, let me tell you, before I bought this, like after our live stream, I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. I love touching it. And that's the reason. I'll do like a review of why I decided to do it. But while I was on YouTube, the super fake things, let me just tell you, because I'm not familiar with YSL. This is like my very first YSL bag, bought from Matches Fashion. And even when I was looking at all these videos online, and I shared it to Amy, right? I shared it to you. I said that so many of them, I was just watching because they were like, unboxing, YSL puffer, black, so black. And of course, there were the real deals like Chase Amy, Mel in Melbourne, and there was Rose Lux. This is a few of them that I'm pretty sure they're real. Then there was all, because I was just scrolling, I was just doing my research, seeing people wear it, seeing people talk about it, seeing their unboxings. And OMG, I would say 50% of the videos that I saw online were super fake YSL puffer bags. I was like, it's not even in the description of the video. It's like unboxing YSL puffer bag. And the video starts. And for the life of me who have never, other than, never have any much experience on like YSL bags, except for that one time I went to the store to try it out. So looking at it online, I'm like, yeah, it looks, it's not bad. She's unboxing a YSL puffer bag. And she, mainly she's, and they start off with this very strange disclaimer, which I'm like, who disclaims things like that for an unboxing? But as I'm watching it, and there are the hints of like certain comments that they make a little bit like, that doesn't sound right. And next thing I know, oh my God, I am watching a fake YSL unboxing. No! X. I click to the next one. I'm like, is it me or there are a lot of fake YSL puffer bags? And they look legit. Okay, they look legit online. I had my I was like, okay, I'm never buying a YSL bag. I can't. I'm getting it from the store or online resellers. That's it. Like no IG selling for me because they look good, right, Amy? I sent you the photo or the video, right?
It's just crazy. And the thing is, like, this is what we were saying. Like, I'm like, what? When I said about when I said that when I was watching that video of the girl unboxing, and she was actually saying that it was not a real one, but she was saying how good it looks and blah blah blah. And I'm like, that is something to be proud of. I wasn't sure that was the trend at the time, but yeah, it's scary. It's scary. Like you're just out there trying to make research, trying to know if it's a bag that you should buy. But if you're stumbling across these reviews or unboxings that are not even of the real item, how are you supposed to make an informed decision? It's so
correct.
It makes no sense to me. Like, yeah, it still is a foreign. I just don't understand. Like we said before, if you can't afford buying the real deal, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it because I couldn't afford a lot of things for a long time. You just buy what you can afford. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't understand that. Don't know. Don't understand.
Yeah. And I was just like a buyer. Like, so we're talking because the super fakes, right? This came out. I was just any other person doing research on the YSL bag because I liked it. I was like, oh, okay, I think I want to see how people are wearing it, what people are saying about it. But it was so interestingly scary for me to see that I was probably watching reviews of people owning the dupe version. And I was like, I didn't know what to read. I didn't know what to expect anymore. So yeah, that was just something that even I couldn't tell. But some of the unboxings, the commentary was a little bit fishy, where nobody would say things like that. To say that the logo looks right. and I'm watching it going, girl, why are you saying the logo looks right? Shouldn't it be right? Like, okay, and then she'll say things like, the spacing is good enough. The spacing is good enough? What is this? This is a fake bag.
This is not a review.
Oh my God.
I was like, what?
Okay. Oh, that was just so funny. Okay, I'm very happy. I have experienced both ends of the spectrum, from buying to consigning to reselling and selling. I haven't been scammed, thankfully. Just really cautious. I only sell within the country too. Yeah, I think for both of us, there is that preference. But, I have sold overseas. It's just there is this like logistic fear. Yeah. Oh, no, I'll give you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to go. Oh no, it jumped.
But I see a sticker from Nue. Thank you.
Yeah, Nue, thank you. Okay, so this is a reply to MK. I think I saw MK's mention something about professional buyers. So the personal shoppers, they have very deep relationships with Hermes and Chanel. I don't know where they get their stuff and how fast they get it, but they definitely are like VIPs. And
yeah, and even the information, like I said, a lot of the accounts that I follow, I just follow because of the information. I mean, I can't get that information. I'm not a VIP, but I can't get that information from my essay. My essay is pretty on like by the book, which I actually, I appreciate. It is what it is, It's frustrating sometimes because you never know if you're gonna get something, but yeah, is it bad to have that deep relationship? I don't know. It's hard to tell because I like I said, I follow those accounts because I like to see what's coming. Even before my essays, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know.
Okay, so anyway, we've passed the 1:30 in Singapore. I'm on the actual, so I can see like past the comments, and I see most of you are going, go on. It's 4:30 in Australia, so good here. Go. Okay, so we'll go for another until 2:00 here, so another half an hour. Yeah, because we're so used to 2 hours, right? It's just that now we shifted a little bit.
As long as you're okay, if you're not too hungry.
Oh, don't worry. Look, I've got chocolate here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the good chocolate. Okay, Amy, I don't remember if you've discussed this before, but how do you store your Gabrielle, especially the chain? Oh my gosh. I'm like probably the worst person not worst person, but like when you hear how I store it, you'll be like, that's it. I literally store the jeans on top of the bag. And I always get asked like, oh, isn't that going to make the bag sag because of the weight? It hasn't for mine. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, I really value the fact that mine is a size small. So obviously there's a bit of creasing, but that's actually from regular use because, just from having it stuffed and removing things. And yeah, maybe the weight of the chain does affect it, but it is also part of the design. So I'm not so bothered about it. I think, and which is why, I always look at my bags. If it really starts to look like it's literally becoming a pancake, then maybe I won't store it like this anymore. But as of right now, this is how I store it, just upright with all the chains standing up. On top of it. I think another way, or maybe Kat, you can answer how you used to store it. I think, and the way that at Chanel, how they store it, or even when they, like I know Chanel essays can sometimes be quite rough with their bags, but a lot of them, they just stuff it inside the bag because I guess then the weight is just inside. But then I prefer not doing that because if I want to use my bag, then every time I have to untuck it, I just feel like this is more work. This is more work than I'm willing to. Like if I just take it out, usually it's all the chains are on top. I just take it out and then I just start using it.
I think for the small, you could put it on top because it's not so high, right? And you have your bag organizer inside, so it gives it that lift.
Oh, I don't
for me, I do
this one, but the integrity of this bag has done so well for me. Like it hasn't. I'm telling you, it's the air in Vancouver, okay? There's nothing that makes my bag sag or anything. I don't know. I just do what I do. And of course, I monitor my things. If I start seeing things, then I'm like, oh, I'll change the approach, But so far, this is what I'm doing. I don't really do anything special, honestly.
For me, I actually store, but my bag was the bigger version, the medium. So it was actually sagging on the top. So I do put my chains inside, and like I said, because it's softer somehow, and I do stuff it in. But yeah, I think it depends. Yeah, it really depends. I don't think there's any like wrong with putting it on top. For me, because my bag is so long, when I did put it on the top, it did sink the bag a bit.
Yeah, and it would make sense because the chains are pretty, like the chains have quite a bit of weight to it. I also think that it depends on how old your bag is, and like I said, I do rotate my bags. I do use my bags. I do rotate my bags though, and I do monitor the the wear and tear. And usually it's like so minimal. It's like not even enough to talk about, which is why, yeah, what I do has always worked for me. But if you notice that it hasn't worked for you, then you should change your approach because, just like when we discussed about how we clean and maintain our things. It's so different, even just depending on your environment, your habits, what kind of things you put in your bag can also be just a factor that puts the different type of wear and tear on your bags too.
Totally. Okay, answer this one. TT is saying that she doesn't understand why many people buy old seasonal bags for way over retail, even in brand new condition. Is it worth it? I can understand it is no longer produced, but new bags are always out. I can understand why, because some seasonal bags are really special. I guess maybe in that situation where, and I believe this is only for Chanel, because Chanel seasonal bags, they don't come back very often. And if there was like a hot design, hot design or maybe a hot color, chances are you won't see it for a long time. And if it really makes your heart like, oh, I really want it, then actually it means you will probably be willing to pay a higher price for it. Give you an example. Amy's bucket bag has not come back. All right, has not come back. And if you could find one in brand new condition, brand new, which I doubt anymore, brand new, I think people will be willing to pay over retail for whatever it is sold for, because it was a good design. They didn't come out again with it, and it's popular and it's nice. It's something that I would say is not too trendy. So yeah, I think that would be a good example. And like the pearl bag would be another one. What do you think, Amy?
Yeah. I think it's not all the seasonal bags, but there's always something that's extra special from a particular season and that you might have missed out. A lot of times, and I know it's our mind playing tricks on us, but a lot of times you pass on something thinking that, oh, it's not for me. But then the more you see it, the more you're like, oh, maybe I should have bought it. Oh, why did I pass on? And then it's already too late, because obviously with Chanel, even LV now, the stock, oh my gosh, it's so hard. There's not enough to go around.
Yeah.
Why.
This is a funny one. Resell, I'm willing to buy from you, Kat. Who's selling the Chanel stud earrings? It's funny because I was going to wear them today, the Chanel. Those were like hot cakes. I got it out of, because Clara helped me get it, and it was such a like, yeah, okay, all right, if you can get it. And next thing I know, it's like, how did you get it? Where did you get it? I'm like, whoa, did we get some? So yeah, how much is it? It's like double the price now or something.
Oh my gosh, you should have seen how much they were selling on Fashion File. I think I'm not joking. I think I remember seeing like $1,500 or something like that. It's some crazy price like that. It was literally sold at the same price as those dangly, like the Chanel ones. I was like, are you serious? Good thing I have them too. No, it's true. Sometimes that's the thing. I think once you see it enough, like especially if it's a brand that you're very fond of, when you see something come up, like a new design or a new item, without even knowing for sure if it will be a hot item or that it will be super sought after, once you kind of know the trend, or you not know the trend, but once you get a hang of it, you kind of know if it's going to be a hot item or not. And a lot of times it's also by just following all these IG accounts, which I really think it's a helpful thing. That's why I follow them, for information and for knowledge and for inspiration, obviously. Yeah, get your hands on those things if you can. And which is why we said earlier that, these IG selling accounts, they're not bad. When you can't get them at your local store, the next best thing is to get it from those IG resellers. But you just have to be very careful nowadays because there's all kinds of people out there now. All kinds.
Jojo, my chocolate dealer is here.
She's my chocolate.
So Jojo is saying that, I'm just eating it. So good. So good. Okay, so if you didn't have a personal shopper, you won't be able to get anything. So yes, there are some countries that it's just so spread out, or maybe you just don't have a store near you. So actually the personal shoppers that are on IG, they do provide a very valuable service to people who just can't have access. I think besides the fact that, you can get the hot items even for me, let's say I'm in Singapore, yeah, I can literally just take a train down to the store and all of that. But stocks are so limited, and the personal shoppers on IG, they've got so much connection. And that's even for me who I have places around. But can you imagine, like, you just don't have any store near you? You'll never get anything.
Yeah. So if you have someone that you work with that you clicked and that you've always had good experience, then keep working with the same person. I think that applies to essays too.
Totally. Oh my gosh, Amy, this is for you. Okay, he's got his garden party. Congratulations. I showed it all my friends yesterday with a virtual party last night, claiming that it was my pandemic bag. I got booed. They said we were fashion activists and fundamentalists.
I boo your friends. What's wrong with being a pandemic bag? It's like the best thing. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Nah. I stand by my pandemic bag.
Okay, I'm very happy. I can only speak for Philippines, but the booming IG seller market is due to the limited accessibility. We do not have a Chanel here, only 2 LVs, 1 Dior, and most of the time prices are higher due to tax. Yeah, and on top of the IG seller market, like my bag, my YSL bag, I was actually really surprised that I had savings buying online. And this is from an authorized seller, online seller. So buying at store, like in Singapore, taxes are really high, and we get the import tax and all of that. So the prices, I saved like $400, which is actually a lot of money. I could buy something else, right? So this IG seller market, I think they also source it from so many places. They get maybe like Europe, they get it at a cheaper price. And because they can still get a margin of profit, it's still cheaper buying locally. So that's another reason, yeah, totally, that it's so lucrative right now. And so many people are in it.
Yeah, it really does depend on your location and where your item is sourced from. Like I think I heard Jerusha's video a few times now where she bought items from her personal shopper who's located in, in Europe, usually Paris, I think. And she actually got savings. Of course, it doesn't happen all the time. Like for us here, it doesn't happen. Like I usually actually have to pay more. But I think because things in Australia, I guess because they're so far away, and maybe their things are, because everything has to be shipped so far away, they tag on that extra, freight charges and all those things. It drives their prices higher than, say, maybe the rest of the world. Like, it could be that reason. And then, of course, Paris or Europe in general, their items are made there, and their prices are usually better there, even with their VAT. So yeah, sometimes you can get savings, sometimes you have to pay extra. But I think it's not really down. We're not even concerned about saving or paying extra here. It's about just having a safe transaction at this point. Yeah.
True. Richard is here. So okay, so Richard follows me on my Instagram. Okay, anyway, I was always obsessed with the LV, the denim LV I got from a seller. It was in great condition. Was it on IG? So I do have the Neo Speedy. I think it was one of the Marc Jacobs collection, like many years ago. That was my very first eBay purchase. Actually, my one and only. And the only reason I did it, I tried it out, is because of the price point. It was pretty low. Anyway, it was a really old bag. I got it through Brand of Tokyo. I think Brand of Tokyo is very reputable on eBay, and they are also from Tokyo. But yeah, I don't think I will go into eBay anymore. It was still pretty stressful, but because the price, I think I only paid like, I'm trying to recall, maybe $500 for it or maybe less. And I was like, okay, if I get scammed, never mind. I'm just trying it out. I'm just trying this, because a lot of people talk about buying from these sellers, right? A lot of bigger YouTubers, they do say buy from, I think it was Hey June and all. They recommend them, and I just want to try, but I wasn't really willing to buy thousands of dollars. It was actually a very smooth transaction, very fast, good shipping. But I don't think I would do it again. Just because with everything, with all this other ways of buying, I'm just not comfortable with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I echo what Kat said. I also bought a couple things from eBay, 2 or 3 things from eBay before, and always a good transaction, very seamless. And the items were always genuine, but I don't know if it's just the stress of not knowing for sure. Even though the Japanese consignment stores are usually, I think they're known to be reputable and stuff. So plus I'm not into vintage stuff anymore, so that's why I don't buy from eBay anymore.
That's true. Just, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I reached a stage where I just don't want to put myself in that additional stress. I've got so much stress in my life. Like, I don't want to be stressed out about my stupid bag, okay? So,
Yeah.
And yes, whenever, because you keep thinking about it, right? That's not worth your mental, the mental space in your head. So like, no, thank you. Jojo, I bought some Japanese horseshoe brush to brush off dirt from my bags. Maybe I'm over the top, but it's actually really therapeutic. That's a really good recommendation, because natural hair brushes are really good to brush. Yeah, that's good one. I think with suede and all will also be very useful. Over the top. Okay, so now I'm gonna see, like, I see a lot of yes, keep going. So I'm gonna skip through that. Oh, Asha, I think you joined us last week, right, girl? Following from last week, I just picked up my mini Lady DR. Congratulations.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sharon, just want to thank you, both of you, for your fantastic detailed review of the Gabrielle Hobo. I have the black and white in medium after watching your reviews, and I love it. I love
Yay!
it too.
Yeah, the Gabrielle bag is such a good bag.
Such a good bag.
I always get asked these difficult questions. And last week I talked about which one I would get first if I had to get the Chanel 19 or the Gabrielle. And I almost could not give an answer. But I said the 19 last week because the 19 is more expensive. Get it out of the way because I know I'm just going to get the Gabrielle after anyway. So that was my answer at the time.
Okay, this is a very interesting comment. I'm going to skip through some because we're like lacking time.
Oh, yeah.
We are nearing the 2-hour mark. Okay, so Ken says, somebody in my office announced that she's going to buy a replica LV bag and asked if we wanted to order one as well. No one replied.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I
my
think she's
personal
in a
hope,
friendly way, right? It's just like, oh, do you want one too? That way, right?
yeah, hopefully.
It's just that yeah, like I said,
Don't
I
do
don't
it.
understand.
Yeah,
I don't
don't do it.
understand. I can see where some people are coming from. I think some people genuinely just want to be carrying something label, even if it's not real, it has the label on it, and they just want to feel good about it. I do believe that there are people who genuinely just wants like that kind of feeling, without being showing off or anything like that. It's not anything like that. But I'm just here. I just want to say that you don't have to do that to feel that way. I guess you can be proud of a Coach bag. You can be proud of a no-name brand, but just really well-made leather bag. These labels or monogramming or whatever, they're cool. Obviously, they do make you feel great. I love my collection, but I think everyone has a point in everyone goes through stages. Like I said, for the better part of my life, I didn't have any of those things, and it's fine. Yeah. And now that I do, I appreciate it as well. It's just different stages. Do what you can when you can. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. No one replied. Must have been so awkward.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me personally, like in my own head, like in me as even if I didn't have any of my luxury bags, and I'm not in the position to buy anything, like I would like maybe like just buy my normal bags. I would be proud of the bags that I buy, and it doesn't have to be labeled. I'm in that position, I would love to own one, but I feel like there is that reward and that satisfaction of, and almost a satisfaction of, okay, I'm going to just say like achievement, that wow, I saved up for this expensive piece and I'm really going to treasure it. I feel like when I buy something that is not the real thing, it's like I'm not doing myself justice. Like I just feel like I could have deserved, like, it's not that I couldn't do it, like, you know what I mean? I just feel like we said it before, like in that video, love yourself enough to buy real. And it's just, yeah, I stand by that. You just, if you want it, just go all out to do it. And even if it's that one bag in your entire life, and let it be, right? I just don't support fake. I just feel fake comes with so much of me saying like, I'm just gonna, it cheapens the purpose of buying the bag in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. That's my stand.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I can, like I said, I can also see it from some people's point of view, because it's not like it's not like I haven't been on the other side of, not having any material things, but not even having enough to eat and those things. Like I understand from that point of view, but which is why I do think that some people they're carrying those not because, yeah, I don't know how to explain myself, but basically, yeah, I just like Kat said, there should be a gratification and a sense of reward for being able to achieve it, even if it's very slow, even if it's just buying the smallest luxury item ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, the word is luxury, right? It's not a necessity. It's something that it's like a treat, and you saved and worked hard for it, and it should be treated in that sense. It's just that because we are probably in this community and we're like, oh my God, this new thing, but we're actually very privileged. But if you think of the word, it's luxury. So when this replica comes, I just get a bit like, why? So I don't know. Anyway, there's no right, there's no wrong. Just that it's not something that I believe Amy and I, we just don't, we're not, it's not a preference.
We're not supporters of it.
Okay, I think, oh man, I've got so many more. I'm sorry, I'm going to scan through and then if I'll just pick out a few more. I'm not sure what this one is. Stephanie. Actually, they don't just match the leather. They know the real leather and they actually have access to the same suppliers. That's the problem with super fakes. Yeah. So they actually probably look and feel very, very close from the outside. So during our live stream, the one with the authenticator, which I'll link all these videos later, she did say that a lot of fake bags, maybe unlike the super, super, super fakes, but a lot of them from the exterior look pretty good. They're like 100% or maybe 99% close to the real thing, but it's the finer details and the interior that might look a little bit different. So yeah, they do match it to a certain extent. But yeah, I'll link that video down there because there was quite a lot of insight in that live stream. Okay, Linda. I mentioned last week I was eyeing the Gabrielle bag. Asked if there was a price increase on the 1st of November. If there was in Hong Kong, I'm giving up.
Was there?
I think there was one in Hong Kong.
On Classics. I know there was on the 19. I remember the boy, the walk, but I don't know about the Gabrielle.
Oh, the Gabrielle, yeah. Maybe not the Gabrielle because I think I saw it on the Singapore app. The price is still in the same price. So maybe not, huh? Yeah, maybe not.
But also
hopefully not.
If it was not just a price adjustment. Like I said, sometimes it can just be adjustment because of currency. Although I did know, I mean, from IG again, I saw someone IG story says that they had a price increase in Hong Kong. Yeah. Classics, 19, boy, and walk. Yeah. That was Monday.
Okay. I think it looks like okay, go on here from me. Kat, don't you feel the Lockmead BB and the YSL Puffy look very similar? Both black, silver hardware, double strap. Yep, I do think they look very similar. In fact, I think I've got 3 bags that look the same right now, which is my Lockmead BB, my YSL Puffy bag. I like the way you call it, Puffy bag. And my black jumbo as well. They're all black, silver hardware, double strap. So I might be forming a preference of my bag style. I don't know, maybe I'm doing it subconsciously, but I do like double straps. I do like them to be able to be crossbody. Whether or not I do crossbody back them is a different thing, but I do seem to like this look. Yeah, I'm starting to form a preference.
Yeah. I guess
if only the puffy bag had a back pocket, perfection. That is always something that is like, yeah, if only, but it's still okay. Okay, I think that's all. You're all, which is awesome because I see comments just going among both of, like, everybody's just talking to each other, so that's awesome. And I think we're
And I
done.
think I saw
One more.
just maybe you just skipped it, but I saw Maria was saying that she got good experience with those
Here we go.
was it
Yeah.
yeah there.
So Maria saying I had excellent experiences with Japan brand off and E-Lady for vintage Chanel and Hermes. Visited brand off in Ginza, Tokyo, and they are lovely. Yeah, so these were very big and established eBay sellers. And I found them through Hey June, LB. I think LB also used them, and Jerusha was also some that used it. This was like in the early days, right? Before IG was so big. So eBay was the main source of all these bags. So Brandoff was definitely one of them. So that, thank you. So I feel more I feel a little more comforted. Okay,
No,
we also
it would
thank
be nice to. Oh, sorry.
that,
I was
sorry?
gonna say it would be nice to actually visit the stores in person. Then you have a much, you actually see. It's kind of how you see someone say online or you see their picture all the time, but then when you meet them in person, it's like, oh, finally you're connecting really all the dots. And
Have you been to Japan?
I have, but it was very short and brief, and it was actually not a good experience for me personally because that's when when my lupus showed up.
Oh, I remember you told me
I was
this.
like limping, couldn't walk. Like I basically wasn't enjoying my trip because it was when my lupus showed up, and yeah, it was also in the winter, so it was cold. And it made it not a fun experience, but I definitely want to go back. Time it has to be a good experience, Yeah.
There are so many, like when I went to Tokyo and I also went to Osaka, there are so many of these brick and mortar secondhand sellers, like shops. It's when you go to some of the places, it's like LV is everywhere, and in Japan, I believe it's illegal to sell fakes. So yeah, it's great picking, but it's kind of overwhelming because they're like shops next to shops, right? Here it's like you see one in a very far place, but there's like an entire location of just secondhand, and it's fun. I think if I were to go to Japan when we can go, I think it would be interesting to just like pick all the bags there and take a look.
Yeah, see it from a different perspective for sure. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so we are definitely over the 2-hour mark, and thank you to everybody for joining on the slightly different timing in Asia. So I think we will continue with this timing unless we get comments and suggestions that we need to make it earlier. I'm okay. I ate something before, but I think for my Singapore Malaysian folks, we're cutting over to your lunchtime unless you want to eat with us. But otherwise, we'll stick with this. And I think it's same time for Amy on Amy's channel next week. Yep. So thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you, our Luxees. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.